Episode 8. There's going to be more episodes of this than there is the Fast and the Furious. Right, Emilia Romagna Grand Prix 2020. Hope you've got good visibility to have a look at this. Max Verstappen, turn 5, suffered a rear puncture, span it into the gravel, out of the race. No celebrations from anybody. So that causes a safety car. Hamilton's leading the race. Verstappen was in second, but is now out. So Hamilton's in between what they call turns 8 and 9, even though that doesn't look much of a turn at turn 8. This is a protracted safety car, a bit of a strange one, a bit of a shit show, really. The reason being, George Russell crashes under the safety car, throwing a load of debris on track, causing a different incident in a different location on the track that they don't seem to be able to handle well, the two different incidents, and tie up the safety of marshals in both places. And it leads to some dangerous situations that no doubt they will have had to do a review on and work out how to deal with things better than this in future. Okay, so for those, let's call them what they are, pricks that like to jump up in the comment section and talk about this as if I don't know what I'm talking about, what I'm saying is wrong, here's an example that I can give that's different. Okay, there are always different examples of things that happen that are either anomalies or shouldn't be. Okay, this is one of them whereby the safety of marshals was not given due consideration. Okay, doesn't mean that it's okay. It's far from okay. Race control did a poor job of dealing with this incident. Let's be clear about that. Had somebody have been killed or seriously injured, race control would have been found negligent. The FIA would have been liable for a huge damages payment. They'd have been liable for loss of life. Okay, health and safety law is there to try and prevent these situations taking place. Health and safety procedures are there to prevent situations like that taking place. When they're not dealt with correctly, it becomes a danger. So this was a poor application and direction of what was going on. But I'm going to show you what data view was at the point in time.
As a result,
point in time where Verstappen crashed out, the lapped cars were from 11th downwards. So Russell, Raikkonen, Vettel, Giovinazzi, Latifi, Grosjean, and Stroll, all on the same lap, one lap down. You will see as this unfolds that George Russell in 11th will crash out. So what we're expecting to see is at some point the safety car will be deployed, the lapped cars will be released, and they will be afforded the opportunity to catch the back of the pack. Now at this stage, Hamilton had passed Russell but not Norris, so therefore Russell was 11 seconds behind Norris. That's the gap that was there prior to this incident. So if we look at what that looks like on track, Russell is this blue dot, Norris is this orange dot, Hamilton is here at turn 9. Okay, so turn 9, coming forward to turn 12 is Norris, back at turn 8 is Russell. So that gap we can say is approximately 11-12 seconds now. So what we need to say is, come the resumption of racing, the cars in these positions cannot be really further behind each other. So knowing that Russell goes out, Raikkonen needs to be roughly within 13 seconds of Norris. If he's held back more than that, then this incident or these incidents have negatively impacted Raikkonen's race chances. So I'm going to play this forward and we'll see what actually happens and what decisions are actually made by Masi and at least 9 others in FIA race control. I'm going to turn the volume down so you don't have to listen to Brundle and Crofty's bullshit conjecture, and we'll play this forward and we'll chunk it forward. Just turn that fully off. So what are we seeing? Verstappen's blue dot is still there. What colour dot are we looking at for Russell? Russell is a light blue dot just in front of Raikkonen at the moment. You can see as we go through this lap that Russell is still running. So we'll chunk it forward. He's caught up behind Hamilton now. No, he hasn't. Yes, he has. They're all bunching behind Hamilton now. So you'd think that that safety car is in front of Hamilton. If you look at the right hand side of the screen, you'll see the list of which drivers are pitting. So Perez is now in the pits. Kvyat has gone into pit. So has Sainz. And you can see them actually losing position sometimes as cars on track go by them whilst they remain in the pits, which drops them down the running order. So we'll chunk it forward again. And we'll see what happens now. So Hamilton's pitted, which means that some of these cars which had been previously lapped are no longer lapped. Okay, they've been released because Hamilton's pitted. They've not been actually released by the looks of things because it looks like they're still held back behind the safety car. Does Hamilton get back on track before Bottas makes it past? Because Bottas doesn't look like he's pitted. So Hamilton's emerged from the pits. He's ahead of Vettel, who is a lapped car now. Okay, is the last remaining lapped car, but Hamilton got out of the pits ahead of him. And as Hamilton is clearly catching the back of this set of cars, going towards, well, we're now between turn 8, going towards turn 9, it would be fair to say that these cars are all held back behind the safety car. So we're seeing this all unfold. You've got Ricciardo in third place, the yellow dot that is making his way round to catch Bottas in second. And then you'll see as coming down the start finish straight, and now arriving at turn 2, Kvyat and Sainz there in 8th and 9th. So they'll be catching Perez, and then all that group is catching Bottas. Now you can see Russell's car has come to a standstill. Okay, it's been between 10 and 11. Russell has spun out. Okay, he was basically weaving to warm his tyres up, keep his tyres warm, and he lost it, and debris went everywhere over the track. So whilst they were trying to use this safety car period to deal with Verstappen's car, Russell creates a further incident, and what you have is cars coming by this scene with a load of stuff on track. These cars are still going fairly fast because they're seeking to catch the back of the safety car Snake. You've got stupid things going on, such as marshals trying to deal with this, thinking that we're under safety car conditions so it should be safe, but not necessarily being informed of when it's safe to actually get on track to deal with this. Now, what you'll also see at some stage is the safety car will release the cars that are ahead of Hamilton, and then they'll also release Vettel. Now, when they do that, I think they go speeding past the incident of George Russell's crash, and there are marshals very close to the track still. That is dangerous. That should never have happened, and this is where I'm talking about this lack of communication between race control, the clerk of the course, the marshals, leads to a dangerous situation. That these procedures are designed to ensure these dangerous situations don't happen. But like I say, this was an example that they needed to have learned from. So they'll be passing the scenario where the Russell crash was now. I'm not going to switch to the actual track view just because there's a greater chance of this video being blocked if I'm showing you footage of what actually took place in the race. Sometimes it will pass the YouTube checks, but then later F1 TV will review this and will block the video. I've had that happen to at least 4 videos that I've produced. So this is why I have to do this, in order to try and keep these videos visible. So what is happening? Are we seeing these cars that are ahead of Hamilton being released by that safety car yet? We're seeing a bit of blurring, whether that's actually the quality of the footage, the recording, or is it my internet? I don't know. Now, it looked slightly as though some sort of gap had emerged between Grosjean and Hamilton. Does that mean them cars have been released yet? No. And certainly Vettel, which is a lapped car, and Stroll is showing as being behind Vettel, which means Stroll is a lapped car as well. I don't know whether I missed that with him going into the pits, but Stroll, the pink dot, is further back in the field. He's behind Vettel. So Stroll is the last lapped car at this point in time. So even when these cars that are immediately behind the safety car but in front of Hamilton are released, we're also going to need to see Vettel and Stroll released. Now again, as in one of the previous examples, if Stroll becoming laps and down in as far down position as this was due to his team making a pit strategy call which put him in this position through pitting in so late into this duration of the safety car period, then perhaps Masi will look at that situation if he has not fully caught the back of the pack prior to resumption of racing, and determine, well, you've been given the mandatory safety car lap with which to try and pass. You haven't caught the back of the pack, but the reason you haven't, or one of the reasons that put you in this position, was your own team's pit strategy. Hence, I'm going to go racing, and unlucky effectively. And again, this is the race director's discretion. He carries out the minimum requirement, and then he has discretion. So what are we seeing? There appears again to be this gap appearing between Hamilton and Grosjean. Whether that's because they've been allowed to pass the safety car and Hamilton hasn't, I don't know. Is more than 10 car lengths appearing? It would appear so. So what are we seeing now? We're now seeing Vettel being released. Okay. Are we going to see Stroll released? Did Stroll pit during a time? Well, Stroll appears to be moving through the field. Okay. Does he now pass the red car, the Ferrari of Leclerc? Are we seeing that? Yes, he is. So Stroll seems to be being released on this lap. And there he goes. So this is the lap upon which these cars have been released, which means the next lap will be completed behind the safety car, and then they are free to go racing. But we'll check the gap. Okay, we'll check the gap to ensure that this is what actually happens. And I'll just chunk this one forward. So what needs to happen is this is that mandatory safety car lap. Chunk it forward again. And what's happened? They've all caught back up, including Stroll. They're all in the correct race order, first down to the last remaining competitor, and the gaps between each competitor are going to be approximately half a second. The safety car will peel in and they'll resume racing. Okay? It wasn't to get them out of the way between the race between the leaders. It was to restore sporting fairness to every competitor. This is the intention of the rules. This is the purpose of the rules. This is what we see happen time and time and time again, and there we go, racing again. Example 8 of what Michael Masi and at least 9 others in FIA Race Control have done during Michael Masi's tenure as FIA Race Director. This is the level of experience that Michael Masi had. They tried to present Michael Masi as a novice that didn't know what he was doing. They tried to excuse him. They tried to make out that Masi made an error because he was just a little bit confused. He was in a room with at least 9 other FIA officials. They all know the rules as well. They have been there at each and every one of these occasions where Michael Masi has carried these things out. They know why he is doing it. You don't get a position in that room doing that job if you don't know what you're doing. These are professional people employed in what is called the pinnacle of motor racing. You don't get employed as an official in the pinnacle of elite sport if you do not know what you are doing. They knew. This is called systematic corruption. Michael Masi had to sign a non-disclosure agreement so that he wouldn't tell anybody what truly went on in that room. But we'll get to the bottom of it. Episode 9 next.